Copper is one of the earliest metals known in jewellery because it was one of the earliest metals isolated by man, and it looks good, and people still make copper jewellery today, like copper rings. How can you make that? In about 5 minutes, I'll try and show you. First of all, you need to get the size right, so you go to the finger that you want the ring on, cut a strip of paper, and wrap it round as tightly as you want the ring to be, like that. Make a pencil mark across both overlapping parts of the paper, and between those, you've got the length of the copper strip you want to cut. If the paper's the right width, you've got the width too. So mark that off on a piece of copper. You can either get a piece of old washing copper or copper offcut or something like that, but if you make the length of it along there and the width of it there, that is the strip that you need to cut out. Well, you can use old scissors, and most of those will cut copper if your fingers are strong enough. If not, get somebody with stronger fingers or use a pair of tin snips. But you'll end up with a strip that's about that size when you straighten it out. Now, of course, a lot of the fun of copper jewellery is the texture that you give it. This bit I've been beating with the edge of the hammer, and it ends up looking like wood grain, rather like that. Not bad, but for my money, the best sort of texture you can get is that with the round part of a peen hammer. And that gives you the copper dimpling that you find on tankards. Incidentally, beat it on something like a brick, a hard, smooth surface. As you do, of course, you stretch the metal and it ends up all dished in that fashion. You can't bend it like that, so you have to turn it over and turn it inside out. Not on the brick. That'll smash all your pattern out. So put it at that stage on wood and ding it like this. Well, if you keep on doing that, it turns inside out, and you get that sort of effect. And at that stage, you want to bend it. Hunt around and you find pipes and pieces of doweling of different sizes. This one's the same size as my finger, and that's the one I'm going to form the copper around. And I give it a first start in the middle, and then, not with the metal part of the hammer, but the wooden part, I hit those ends down. And it's about this stage we really take some care, because it's the only part we have to do accurately, because we have to join those two together with solder. Now you can't do that until they're cut square and made clean. And you'll notice they're all ragged from the hammering. So with scissors, you trim them absolutely square, like that and that. And if you're still not happy with the result of that, get a file and work away at them until you can bend them and jostle them and they come together. At that stage, bend one under the other, pull them out, bend the other under the one, until in the end they're just springing together and meeting absolutely exactly. And to give you some sort of idea, here's one that's ready to be soldered. It's got a hairline crack there. The two ends are just meeting beautifully like that. Well, at that juncture, you turn it over and you put solder on. Soldering can be a very dicey business, but not if you use this sort of solder. Looks like wire, and it has resin flux in the middle. Flux is what makes it stick to the metal it's soldering. Cut 2 tiny pieces of that and put them on the crack. Make sure they don't move from there. There they are, side by side. And then with a piece of wire or forceps, hold the whole thing in a candle flame. It won't take very long, and all of that will melt. There it goes, and it's flowing into the join. Leave it molten for quite a while. It makes a stronger bond with the copper that way. And when you think it's had enough, dunk it into some water and cool it off. At that stage you can clean it off, get the black off from the candle flame, and you might need to reform it a last time on the piece of doweling or pipe that you used, but the finishing is done with a file to cut those edges square and a piece of steel wool to give it a polish. And the final result will be that, a ring that suits your finger beautifully and you can hardly see the join at all. Well, that's one way of shaping metal, with a hammer. And most people wear jewellery made of gold. Here's somebody spinning steel to make a gold pan to collect gold for somebody else's jewellery.